Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. This time we're switching gears a bit. You guys have sent us some seriously interesting stuff about becoming a beauty vocational teacher, and we're here to break it all down. We're talking about the people who don't just do beauty, but teach it. Hair, makeup, skincare, everything. To help us unpack all of it, we have our expert guide with us.
Ready to explore the world of beauty education with you.
Perfect. You've shared some really interesting insights from RoleCatcher, a career development platform that we're going to dive into. But first, for anyone listening who isn't totally up to speed on what a beauty vocational teacher does on the daily, what's the elevator pitch?
Okay, so imagine walking into a classroom, but not your typical desks and chalkboard setup. You're at a vocational school or maybe even a community college, and the energy is just buzzing. Students are so eager to learn everything from classic cuts to the trendiest nail art, and you're the one who guides them, not just with book smarts, but with real-world skills.
Okay, so it's a lot more than just knowing how to braid, because honestly, I still haven't even mastered a French braid.
Oh, for sure. These teachers cover everything. Anatomy, sanitation, even the chemistry behind all those miracle skincare products you see advertised everywhere.
Wait, the chemistry. Are they serious when they say beauty is science?
Totally serious. A good beauty vocational teacher can explain the science behind all those fancy ingredients, the different skin types, even the physics of a good haircut, and oh, don't even get me started. Some schools are incorporating VR simulations for training now.
VR. In beauty school.
Yeah.
That's wild. So you mean like practicing haircuts on virtual clients before ever even picking up real scissors?
Exactly. The beauty industry is always changing, and these teachers have to keep up. It's all about staying ahead of the trends. Just like those profiles that RoleCatcher shared, lifelong learning is key.
Which totally makes sense. Okay, so for everyone who's now picturing themselves in front of a classroom full of future stylists, let's talk about the good, the bad, and the beautiful, literally.
Yeah.
RoleCatcher put together a list of pros and cons about this career path. And I gotta say, some of these are pretty interesting.
Yeah, let's start with the positives. RoleCatcher really emphasizes the potential for a flexible work schedule, which is always a plus in my book.
Who doesn't love a little flexibility?
Yeah.
Especially if you're someone who needs variety in their day. And speaking of variety, the creativity in this job must be off the charts. Just imagine designing hairstyles all day.
Oh, absolutely. And it goes way beyond just aesthetics. It's about helping people feel confident and beautiful. That's a really fulfilling aspect of the job that RoleCatcher highlights.
It really is. Knowing you've made a real difference in someone's life, that must be an incredible feeling. Plus, there's the potential to eventually branch out and do your own thing, maybe open a salon or even a beauty school.
You get it. Entrepreneurship is a very real path with this career, but of course, no job is perfect. And RoleCatcher is honest about the challenges too.
Right, because we want to give everyone the full picture here, not just the glossy magazine version. So let's flip the script for a second. What are some of the downsides that RoleCatcher pointed out?
Well, for one, RoleCatcher mentions that career advancement can be a little limiting, especially compared to some other fields. And depending on where you end up working, the salary feeling might not be as high as you'd hope.
That's definitely something to think about. It's great to have those entrepreneurial dreams, and like we said, that's definitely possible with this career. But it's important to be realistic about the money side of things, too.
For sure. And we can't forget about the physical demands of the job. Remember all that energy in the classroom we were talking about? You're on your feet a lot, demonstrating techniques, sometimes even lifting heavy equipment. It's definitely a physically demanding job.
Yeah, no kidding, not exactly a desk job. So basically, you need a passion for beauty and some serious stamina.
You got it. And actually, speaking of passion, remember how we were talking about how fast the beauty industry changes? Well, that also means that committing to constantly learning new things is non-negotiable. New trends pop up all the time, faster than you can say ombre highlights, which, by the way, is when you create a gradual blend of color on the hair.
So you just taught me something new about hair.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get it. Keeping up with all the latest styles and products and techniques is all just part of the job description.
It is, and that might mean going to workshops or reading all the industry magazines or even following every beauty influencer on Instagram.
So basically, you can tell everyone that you're scrolling through Instagram for work. I like it.
Exactly. All in the name of professional development, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
So let's say someone's listening to all of this and they're thinking, okay, I'm sold. How do I actually become a beauty vocational teacher? What's step one?
Luckily, RoleCatcher has a whole roadmap for that. They lay out all the typical paths you can take.
Because it's not just about knowing how to use a curling iron, right? There's actual schooling involved.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Think like a degree in cosmetology or aesthetics or hair design. Those are like the must-haves. But it gets even more interesting. RoleCatcher also talks about how valuable things like business administration and education are.
Okay, so there's the art of beauty, but then you also need the business smarts and the teaching skills. That makes a lot of sense.
Exactly. At the end of the day, you're running a classroom and managing students. You might even be designing the curriculum at some point. But before we get ahead of ourselves, RoleCatcher really stresses how important practical experience is.
Which makes sense. You can't just read about something like balayage in a textbook and then expect to teach it. You need to know how to actually do it.
Exactly. That's why working in a salon or doing an apprenticeship is so important. Even just doing services for friends and family, it all adds up. That real-world experience makes all the difference when you're in the classroom.
Right. And it's not like you just learn everything in beauty school and then that's it for the next 30 years, right? It seems like you constantly have to adapt and evolve in this industry.
Totally. RoleCatcher has some great tips for that too, like going to workshops or joining professional organizations.
Always be learning. I like it. This could be a really great fit for someone who loves picking up new knowledge and trying new things. So let's shift gears for a moment and talk about career trajectory. RoleCatcher had some really cool insights about how a beauty vocational teacher can move up in their career.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What does that typically look like?
So RoleCatcher lays it all out, kind of like a journey. You might start off as like an assistant teacher, just to get a feel for the classroom and support the more senior educators.
Right.
And then as you gain confidence and experience, you can start leading your own classes, maybe even mentoring some of those newer teachers.
That's so cool. Not just sharing what you know about beauty, but helping to shape the next generation of teachers, too.
Definitely. And as you move up, you might find yourself taking on even more responsibility, like designing curriculums or leading a department, maybe even becoming a director of beauty education.
Wow, Director of Beauty Education. That sounds really impressive.
Mhm.
I like that RoleCatcher actually shows you how all of this works. Like you can see how someone goes from newbie to beauty rock
Oh,
star.
yeah, they've got these profiles of beauty vocational teachers at different stages of their careers, which is super helpful. You can see all the different paths that people take, the skills they learn, how their roles change over time.
Very cool. So it's not just about climbing a ladder, it's about finding your place in the world of beauty education.
Exactly. And that's something I really like about how RoleCatcher presents everything. They don't just throw a bunch of random info at you. They give you context and examples and resources to help make sense of it all.
Speaking of resources, we've been talking a lot about RoleCatcher today, and I have to say, I'm impressed. It seems like a really amazing tool for anyone who's thinking about a career in beauty or, honestly, any career.
It's true. They've got guides on tons of different careers, plus a bunch of resources to help with your resume and interview prep and just everything.
And it's all totally free to use, which is awesome. So for any of our listeners who might be thinking about a career change or even just exploring some different options, I definitely recommend giving RoleCatcher a try. It's like having your own personal career coach right in your pocket. All right, but before we wrap things up, I want to leave you with something to think about. We've talked about how much the beauty world is always changing. I mean, VR in the classroom, come on. So what other futuristic things do you think will shape the future of beauty education?
That's a great question. Maybe we'll start seeing things like personalized learning programs that use AI, or even holographic hair and makeup tutorials. Who knows? The possibilities are endless.
Now, that is something I would love to see. I mean, I would personally love a hologram that could teach me how to French braid my hair. But sadly, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive into the world of beauty vocational teachers. We hope you guys learned a ton and maybe even found some inspiration along the way.
Absolutely. Until next time, keep those minds curious and those beauty dreams alive.
And we'll see you in the next episode.